Well, you can hear my bike running in the background. I'm kind of warming it up. But what I did before, these mirrors that came in there from JP Cycles, they're like 20 bucks a pop. If you get Harley mirrors, they're, I don't know, 50 bucks or something. I don't think the chrome on these mirrors, though, the aftermarket ones, last as long. So what I did was, I just found this out from experience. It gets pitted pretty. I don't know if this one does or not. I'm not sure, but you know, if they're well less than half the price of Harley mirrors, they might be a little difference in something. But I got the ones that are not, where the objects are closer than they appear. It's like a convex mirror, whatever you call it. I got the regular ones. I couldn't find the convex ones, but what I did was I cleaned them off with starting fluid, chemically clean, to get them a shot of this stuff here. This stuff, Rust-Oleum, double ultra cover gloss clear, does seem to hold up pretty good on a lot of stuff, even foam, for crying out loud. So it'll come off eventually, but it's going to protect it way better than wax. Also cleaned off my USMC flag that was up on the fence. I put it in the washing machine, gentle cycle with some soap, let it dry off. Looks like it's 100% fine. It was getting a little mildewy, so I'm going to store this one in a bag. Mike is over here running. What happens with these? What happens with the mirrors is the screw comes loose on them. But I'm going to tell you this: these aftermarket mirrors are really stupid. They might look good. You got ones that look like a Maltese cross or something. You know, they got little round ones. They got short stem ones, so you don't even notice they're there. But they're kind of useless. You don't want the 4-inch stem. You want the 7-inch stem. These are the kind I always had on here. Objects appear in a mirror are closer than they actually appear. It's kind of like a convex mirror. But you know, I'm going to tell you that one of the deals is these mirrors vibrate so much anyway. The only thing on this thing is the engine is solid mounted. It's a Sportster. It's an older Sportster. It's 89. The bars are rubber mounted, and it's got a swing arm on it. That's your, you know, it's not much. There's not much suspension on there, but I'm gonna, you know, they're easy to take out. I mean, I think it's, what is it, a 1/2-inch bolt or a 9/16 bolt? Just freaking unscrew them. But these screws, what happens is, I put bigger ones in here, but what happens is, it's not only the screws get loose and fall out, which I should have checked it before I went for a ride. That's why I'm going on longer and longer rides, as you know. I got to check the trans fluid, double, you know, check the tire pressure and shit. But you know, I'm going to be putting on the Avon tires on it, re-greasing the front wheel bearings, greasing this fork, which this is easy to do because I put a bolt in here, and what I do is I just fill it up with marine grade grease. I take this bolt out and I put a grease fitting in there. And then for the swing arm, actually I don't actually pull it apart. I use the needle valve bearing, the needle valve, what do you call that? That needle thing that you stick on the end of the grease gun. I just inject a slew of grease in there. Actually, I'm just going off on a tangent, which kind of pissed me off about some things. You know, when they had the old wire lace wheels, they used to have a grease fitting right here. So you can just go out there and just put a shot of grease in it, you know, every couple rides without taking all this crap apart. What I was thinking is, I'll do this on another video. See, here's the grease seal, and actually, the way I take this out is with a small claw hammer. It's got a very small claw hammer. The claw fits in there perfect. You just go, it's like a perfect leverage, and tape pops them right out. And I'll re-grease them with marine grade wheel bearing grease for like boat trailers and crap. That's the best shit to use. But you know, what might be good is, you know, if there could be a little cap or something installed on this grease seal, we can get in there with the injection gun, the little needle valve, and just grease them without taking this all apart every freaking time. That bag, because as long as they're not dry, I mean, if you can push in grease and push out the old grease, stuff is going to freaking last, you know. So anyway, we'll be popping these things on here in a second. But what happens with these too, even though the screws might come loose, after a while you can't tighten these up anymore, because this, like you can see, I kind of like got some stuff over there. This bows out. See how that bows out right here? If you can see that. God, is it freaking too dark? Well, this bows out right here. This part right here. This bows out. This metal bends out as you tighten these up, and after a while it's kind of stress cracks all around here. So what I did was I stuck a little piece of metal, it was actually an electrical contactor, to take up that space so I could tighten up this mirror. And this mirror is actually real tight. I should have done that on the other side. It would have been buying the new mirrors, but time for new ones. So the windshield does work great. I never rode with a windshield before. I was like, I says, it's not so much that I don't get any wind, but it, you know, 60 miles an hour, I don't feel like my helmet's being pushed up, and I got, you know, the wind off my body and my helmet is greatly reduced. So I can leave this on even for 20-mile-an-hour rides. There's plenty of wind getting on you, but the heavy wind comes off, you know, off your body. So just a matter of freaking unscrewing a couple bolts here. Make sure you got these nuts on here tight. I'm going to keep these mirrors in a what do you call that stuff? The bubble wrap, because they're actually still good. Even though I cracked this one when I put too long of a screw in it, it still works. And I put a little goop around here so it don't fall out. It still works. Still works. So we'll be swapping these out right now. I'm going to check the trans fluid, take that tire in the front. Most of the only thing I might need to do on the bike besides re-greasing everything, the tires, I'm probably going to have to change the primary chain and maybe that front sprocket that's in here. It's not that hard to do. I've done everything on this. This is why I keep this bike, because I've done, the only thing I can't do on it is split the halves and set up the bottom end. You need a machine shop to do that, but then again, I might get the tools for that one of these days. I need to change this sprocket. This one you don't want to change because that one runs you $400 and it's already been changed. It's actually the clutch sprocket, but this one spins around about twice as fast as that one, so you got more wear. I'm going to change the primary chain, that front sprocket, and the shoe that adjusts it. It's not automatic. You check the chain by, when you take this out, you can feel the chain, how much slop it's got. It's getting near where it needs to be replaced. So I'm going to check the trans fluid. That's the plug right there. You just upright the bike and you take that screw out. If a little bit dribbles out, you're full, you're good to go. I think it's 3/4 of a quart, pint and a half. The battery in here, just as a side note, I'm just throwing in tips. This battery in here is actually 6 or 7 years old. It's an Odyssey battery. They're very expensive. There's no way to fill it up or anything. It's totally sealed. This is a great thing because you don't get acid all over your bike. It still starts up the bike very well after 6 or 7 years. I've gotten the regular motorcycle batteries, usually that are like conventional. They usually vibrate to death on this damn thing, and they probably last you 6 months. I also put this keychain from the SUV CSA on here, and this is something so my key, because I could pull the key out of here easily. This is going like that. So if the key comes out, it ain't going nowhere, you know what I mean? You don't be riding along and your key fall out. When I had a big wad of keys on here, that was a concern. I used to have like a freaking plastic zip tie that went around the hoop around here. But this is better. This is even better, so I don't think that won't come off. There's no way that can come off. So, anyway. And really the only thing that's really got me inspired to ride again is I'm going to be riding with my Rebel flag patch on my back, and I got the flag in the forward here. So, and I'll be taking it kind of easy in the beginning, but what's cool is, even though I haven't rode that much over the last several years, just once in a while, is that since I have the same exact bike, and I've had this bike since New Year's Day 1990. It's an 89 Sportster. Started out life as an 883, but it's a 1220 over with S&S bottom end, and a bunch of other Andrews cam and head work and valve work and all that shit. You know, it's got way more than enough juice in it, and it's geared for highway too, with a 22-tooth sprocket over here. So it's got new sprockets in it, new chain, new O-ring chain. I might put a 47 or 46 in the back next time, which will even gear it more for highway, because this thing's got loads of freaking torque for the weight of this bike. This thing, it's like 4 speeds is plenty, man. So, but I'm going to kind of take it easy a little bit in the beginning, because I'm always going to take it easy, because you fuck up one time on these things, you're dead. It's really what the reality is. I'm very much aware of that. But I got my motivation for riding again mainly is for the Confederate stuff. So I'll be flying my rebel flag patch today. And always carry a lock with you, because these bikes, I don't know how they are in the new ones, but all you got to do is take a jumper cable in the back there where your ignition switch is, a tiny two alligator clips, so hook them up, you can start the bike and just go off, you'll be gone. You hear that? And you could do that with other bikes too, and you could break the fork lock real easy. Those fork locks that you got on the top. Actually, this fork lock, yeah, you could break it with a big pair of bolt cutters, but it's a lot less prone to somebody breaking it versus those fork locks that they have up here or something on those Japanese bikes, whatever the hell it is. So, and I always carry the chain, and this thing, it's a big cable lock that it's got 2 loops on it, so I can loop I can loop it through the wire through the one loop and make like a hoop out of it, and just put the other loop in there and lock it. So it's got something where, you know, I can even wrap it around like that tree. It's big enough. So, or any pipe, anything, just so somebody can't grab it and run and throw it in the truck. They'd have to actually use some kind of bolt cutters or some shit, you know. So, you know, that's the one thing that's good about riding in pairs or more than pairs. You have you run like formation, and you got a bike watch out there, you know. You stand out there and you watch the bikes, man. I mean, you don't leave the bikes there, period. It's always somebody's on bike watch, man. That's the way it goes. Let me pop these mirrors on here real quick. Okay, I just installed one mirror, but you could see, I don't know if you could tell on the camera, but the mirror itself is actually more clear. It seems like the back of this mirror has gotten a little screwed up after a while, because they're not sealed that well. This one looks like it's sealed better, so moisture won't get behind in the back where the silver coating is. That could screw up the mirror. Make sure these screws are tight. I quite don't even like how tight that is, because with the vibration and the speed, this one is definitely tight. You know, maybe I'll leave it alone. Maybe I'll just replace the one for now, because this one is freaking solid. Unless what I might do is put some JB Weld right in here too. Right in here. Once I adjust that, this way, I know that bitch ain't going nowhere. I might not change that one right now. So this was the one that was cracked. But make sure you could see, you know, partly over your shoulder a little bit, and you know, you might be just a hair bit of your shoulder, but even if you've got mirrors, I want to say this, very, very important. Look over your shoulder. Don't rely on your stupid mirrors. Look over your shoulder. If you're if you're seeing what the hell's on the right side, what's on the left side, look over your shoulder. Don't rely on the mirrors. The mirrors are good for some things, but physically look over your shoulder. I can't emphasize that enough. Because they could be still, if you think you got these mirrors adjusted just right, they could still be in your blind spot. So that's important. Okay, over now. There's a little pause the cat eating. Meow meow. So the trans needed just a little oil to top it off, so put some of this junk in here. You got to get this bolt, this screw off the bottom. You want to check it with the bike like upright, see if a little bit dribbles out. You can usually get it off with this. You got to use a big Phillips. They also have shake and break tool, which I know will break loose any screw, because they'll break loose the screws on a Suzuki door hinges and stuff. So if you got something really tight, that's the way to get it out. You want to make sure you use anti-seize on everything. These plugs that go in here, I put anti-seize on there, aluminum anti for aluminum threads. I always put anti-seize on everything. Either it's anti-seize or Loctite red or Loctite blue. If you use Loctite red, I'm just throwing another tip in here. The way to get it off is with a propane torch. As soon as you break the bonds of the plastic with the propane torch, you know, that'll do it. Oh yeah, you could check the primary chain. You stick your finger in there, you feel it. It's not bad. It's just that it's near the end of the adjustment, so when it gets loose, next time we're getting a chain on it. This is how I've put this on here. Now that's just hand tight, but what I do is I put this through here like this. See that? And that's my tool for close. You know, you got a tool for it, but I got the tool for the clutches and a lot of other special tools for this stupid thing, but it's one reason I'm keeping this bike. It's like I know how to fix most everything on it except for the lower bottom end. You know, I can take the transmission out, I can do work on the transmission, I can do the top end, of course the wheels and the forks and crap and everything else, and the wirings. And I got the manual for it, I got the parts manual and the owner's manual for it, the parts and owner's manual. But I've actually had the engine out of the frame twice. I lifted this whole engine with, this is back in the day though, myself, and it was like Herculean grunt force. I got it in the back of the El Camino. I was able to lift it up high enough to get it on the tailgate. Engine and trans, whole thing complete. Got it on there, man. Took it down to the build shop, needed the lower end with the S&S stuff. So we'll tighten this up. Primary chain looks good. That's full. Check the tire. I'm gonna put some JB Weld on that fucking mirror so it don't freaking come vibrating loose or nothing. And go out for a ride. Next step will be the Avon tires, the wheel bearings, the swing arm bearing, the fork bearing. And I'll change the oil on this freaking transmission and the engine and stuff. And of course I use the Dyna filters, which are extra big. And I got a pressure, I actually got a thing set up here with my oil cooler. I actually have that set up, oil pressure gauge. I mean, it's kind of hard to see, but it works. And it's liquid filled, and I have it with a piece of rubber so it doesn't vibrate as much, because if they're not liquid filled and they're not rubber mounted, the pressure gauge will vibrate to death inside of no time. But this one's been up there for years, so it's been, you know, we've got that set up right. Yeah, it's extremely easy to change the fork oil on this stuff. Before, it used to be a pain in the ass. You used to have to take the caps off and press the spring down with the forks extended, take Herculean strength. Usually you want to do that with two people, but one person's pain in the ass. What I got here is you got an insert in here. So you take out this insert, that you can fill it up, and you don't have to remove the spring. So you just take out the screw down here, you push up and down on the fork a few times, get all the oil out of it, put the screw back in, and then there's a fill amount for wet and a fill amount for rebuild dry. So you fill it up, the amount wet, and you put maybe a half an ounce of AT205 reseal in there, which will keep your seals freaking pliable much longer. It's another trick, they don't tell you. But that makes doing the forks, and with the AT205 reseal, your seals will freaking last forever, man. Just the freaking original ones, they don't even leak. Good to go, right? Another freaking hot tip. So this kid knows some shit, but I don't know everything, because you gotta watch when you're out there. I tell you, freaking, it's always good riding with a squad. I can tell you that right now, because you got your left flank protected, your right flank, the front, the rear, the whole 9 yards, over and out.